Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today I have a little swatch and review of Goodnight Polish's upcoming Spaceballs themed collection. If you don't know, Goodnight Polish is a small indie brand based in New Jersey. I have shared them a couple of times on my channel before. First when I picked up their anti-ice charity polish and their most recent collection, which I guess isn't that recent now. I just mean their previous collection. But the Spaceballs collection is a 6-piece lineup of these assorted finishes in a much generally darker color palette. So I will share some more information on the launch at the end of the video after comparisons. For now, let me just show you the swatches. The first polish we have is the Beeps, the Sweeps, and the Creeps, and it's described as a dark wine magnetic with silver hollow flakes. This one is incredibly pigmented, as you can see here. It's almost a one coater. I just had a little bit of a light spot near the top left corner of my nail, so I did end up doing a second coat for this, but honestly, I feel like it doesn't really need it, which I found super impressive because in the cat eye especially, I find magnetics are usually a little more sheer where, you know, they require like 2 coats or more often than not 3 coats, but I feel like this one could pass as a one coater. Formula aside, the color was really gorgeous. I don't know if I'd call it a wine. I guess the shimmer in the magnetic is more purpley wine colored, but the base itself looks black to me. And while I was so impressed with the formula for the cat eye effect, I think I prefer this in the velvet style. Next we have the Raspberry, and this is described as a raspberry crelly with a pink shimmer and reflective glitters. Naturally, I was going to love this one. It is just such a gorgeous, vibrant, hot pink shade. I guess I can see it leaning a little bit raspberry in color, but to me, a raspberry is a bit more red. This feels more like a cool toned hot pink, but I am not mad at it. It had a really nice formula, definitely a crelly, so while the first coat is very pigmented and really even coverage as well, there is still that touch of sheerness, and even on 2 coats I feel like you can still see a little hint of nail line, but personally I didn't think it was necessary to do a 3rd coat for this. Of course, that can depend on your preference, your nail length and application and all of that, but this feels like a solid 2-coater for me at least. And here is a clip under flash where you can see that gorgeous reflective sparkle. The next shade we have is May the Schwartz Be With You, which is described as a teal with a purple shimmer. There's also a dainty scattered hollow in here as well, and formula-wise, I would say this is a very pigmented jelly, so as you can see, the first coat is a bit sheer, maybe a little bit uneven as well, especially compared to the last shade, but I found that it evened out really nicely on the 2 coats, while again still providing a bit of coverage, but not too much that it covers the nail line where it's fully opaque. This definitely still has a very squishy jelly feel after the 2 coats, and I would still imagine even after 3, but similar to the last shade, I just left this at 2 coats because I feel like the color was really dark that I couldn't see my nail line that much, so I would just call it a 2 to 3 coater depending on your preference. But yeah, this one was super glowy. Up next we have Check Please, which is a light purple with gold shimmer that glows in the dark, which I will be showing but on my other thumb because I forgot to do it initially for this clip. But yeah, formula wise, this had a really gorgeous, super pigmented, crelly kind of formula, very even coverage. As you can see as well on the first coat here, there is just that whisper of nail line, so I feel like this is a solid 2-coater. I could not see my nail line after that, but maybe it might depend if you do thinner coats than I do. But between the base color and the shimmer, I feel like it's really obscured, and even though it is described as a light purple, I feel like there is this sort of dustiness to it. Unfortunately though, I feel like this wasn't the strongest glow in the dark polish. It especially looks weak on camera. In real life I could see the glow, but it just was hard to capture for whatever reason, and I can't tell what color it is either. Then we have You Went Over My Helmet, which is a black jelly with a mix of hollow and reflective glitters. and this one had another really pigmented formula, not nearly as sheer as I was expecting it to be for being a black jelly. So I really love that. The coverage was just so even, super lush, and of course I love all of the sparkle in here. It's just so pretty, looking like a night sky. While it looked great on the first coat, I still did a second just to make sure it was fully opaque, and I feel like this is one of the few jellies I would call fully opaque just because it is black. And rounding out the collection is Ludicrous Speed, which is described as a dark gray holo with an eggplant purple shimmer. As expected, this had another lovely formula, very pigmented, very even coverage. I think I would say this is a little bit more on the crully leaning side, but also very buildable. So on the two coats, I personally couldn't see my visible nail line. I feel like the base is dark enough that it would obscure it for most people, so I can't imagine this being a 3-coat, but it could also just depend on your application and nail length as usual. And yeah, this was just a really stunning combination. I didn't think I would really like it so much, but I enjoyed it more than I thought. I would say the shimmer leans a little bit more pink to me than an eggplant purple, and I wish that I could see the linear holo a bit more, but I'm sure in the sun it would look gorgeous. Moving on to comparisons, we're starting with the beeps, and this immediately reminded me of Punkish Polish's Long Night, at least just seeing it in the bottle initially, because Punkish isn't magnetic, but when it comes to a magnetic, I thought it might be close to Holo Taco's Queen's Curse or something like ILNP's Jet Setter or High Roller, which are also black-based magnetics with these purpley pink magnetic shimmers and a holo sparkle in the back. I'm not sure if you were able to tell, but the Punkish has more of a cool blue toned purple shimmer, so I would say that the Holo Taco is still the closest, whether it's unmagnetized or not, but it is still a bit more purple leaning. Then for the raspberry, I pulled out Holo Taco's Flirt Alert, which is a magnetic, but it's a bright hot pink shade, so I thought it would be kind of close. And from Cirque, I thought Pinky's Up was a close, raspberry hot pink with a lot of sparkle, but both of these are very different on both ends of the spectrum, where Holo Taco is more of that red raspberry color and Cirque is a little too light. So for some other hot pink shades, I figured I could show it next to Mooncat's Merkitten, which is more of this crully formula. There's no reflective glitter or like an intense glittery sparkle in that way. It does have a dainty holo though. And I also pulled out Cirque's Pele, which is a hot pink with a lot of holo glitter and shimmer. I don't remember if that one's technically a shimmer graphic or not, but either way, neither of these are dupes because the Mooncat is still a little too light and blue toned, while the Cirque is a little bit more red toned. So I feel like the raspberry is kind of an in-between of these two shades. So lastly, I figured maybe this could be close to ILNP's Petals, which is a very vibrant kind of hot pink. It is a different sort of finish though. The base itself is a bit darker, but the actual shimmer particle sort of looks like the same shade as the raspberry, if that makes sense. So in certain lightings, they just look similar, but they're not exact dupes. Then for May the Schwartz Be With You, I immediately thought of Mooncat's Am I Everything You Fear, or even something like Glitch's Garden on the Beach, which are both these super dark teal jelly bases with shimmer and holographic sparkle. The Mooncat is a little bit darker in its base, but the more obvious difference is that it has this like really strong, overpowering pink shimmer. I mean, the shimmer in Glitch is also pink, so it's not an exact match, but the base color does look more similar there. Then for Check Please, I wanted to show it next to Holo Taco's No Opalogies, which recently came out, as well as Mooncat's Shattered Glass, just because they were these light lavender shades that I thought were kind of similar, but are very different finishes. Even still, Check Please is a little bit more muted in real life, like having this more gray undertone. Some other shades I thought were closer in terms of the finishes were Mooncat's Into the Wishing Well and Cirque's Crying Contest, both of which are slightly lighter periwinkle leaning shades, but when it comes to, again, that crully shimmer finish, they are pretty similar. I would say the shimmer in Cirque is definitely the closest, but it's still not a dupe because of the base color. And lastly, I wanted to see Check Please next to ILNP's Lilac Bridges, just because in my head I thought they were going to be more similar. I forgot how light and pastel Lilac Bridges is. It's also noticeably more sheer. This is 2 coats of each, and you can see a lot more nail line on the ILNP side, but the shimmer is kind of similar. Next, for You Went Over My Helmet, I pulled out Holo Taco's Black Hollow Wish and Mooncat's Pumpkin King, which are both these chunky black glitter jelly-based polishes. Holo Taco is a little bit more of a chunky glitter, so there are some larger glitter pieces, and I feel like it's not as dark as the other two. It almost has this charcoal gray color, so on the nail, I would say that Pumpkin King is definitely closer. It's technically missing the reflective glitter, but that's easy enough to add. I also wanted to see this next to ILNP's Cityscape, which is another black jelly base, but this time filled with a holographic flaky particle. The holo in Goodnight polish looks like a flaky to me as opposed to a uniform micro glitter, so I thought this was going to be more similar, like a dead-on dupe, and it definitely is really close, but I think there's just more holo in ILNP. And lastly, since Helmet is almost fully opaque, I figured I could show a flaky topper over a black cream just to see how it compares. And it's definitely extremely similar, but there is a little bit of depth in Goodnight polish. Finally, for Ludicrous Speed, when it comes to gray bases with a pinky purple shimmer, I immediately pulled out Holo Taco's Spirit Fingers and Sylvanclaw's Bat. Spirit Fingers is a much lighter shade of gray and more of a true crelly base. It has a scattered holo instead of linear, and the shimmer is a lot more pink, while Bat is a darker gray, but it's still not as dark as Ludicrous Speed, and it has more of a blue tone shimmer as well. So after going through my collection, I pulled out Mooncat's Selene, which is one of the very first polishes from their rebrand. I feel like in the bottle they looked so similar. I mean, the Mooncat does have a lot more holo, but when it comes to that dark charcoal gray base with that pinkish shimmer, it's kind of close. The main difference though is that Selene is a magnetic, but leaving it unmagnetized, you can still see a difference. Admittedly, it's not like a super close dead-on dupe or anything. I think the base is a little bit darker in Mooncat, and the shimmer also shifts to this golden yellow color in extreme lighting, more of this like duochrome effect. So not an exact dupe by any means, but I feel like the Goodnight polish could be a nice alternative. So that wraps up my swatches and comparisons of Goodnight Polish's Spaceballs collection. These are going to be launching this Friday, May 1st at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, so I will have Goodnight Polish's website in the description box if you want to check them out. But yeah, I would love to hear what you think of this release, because overall, I thought they were just really great. I feel like it's pretty much what I said the last time I reviewed their collection, where the formulas were just amazing. I love the brushes, so painting with them is just a pleasant experience all around. I feel like objectively, they're just great, and I don't really have many nitpicks really. But while I did enjoy the formula and like painting with them, naturally, I'm not really in the mood to gravitate towards such dark colors, because I just love like a cute spring pastel or a bright summery kind of shade. So out of these, the only one I'm probably gonna wear again anytime soon is the raspberry. But I'm sure for everybody else who is like a pastel hater, you're probably excited to see such dark colors this early in the year. I probably also should have watched the movie before swatching these. I mean, to be fair, I have seen Spaceballs before, but it's just been so incredibly long, like decades maybe. So unfortunately, all of the references just kind of went over my head. I have such a bad memory when it comes to a lot of things, especially like watching movies and stuff. But I feel like this is more fair because it has been so long since I've watched it. But yeah, I would love to know what you think of these, or if you've tried Goodnight Polish before, let me know your thoughts down below so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!